Since Pope Francis passed away, Vatican is in the global media limelight. Who will be the next Pope? US President Trump jokes he'd like to be next. Jokes aside, who among the eligible 135 cardinals will take over is unpredictable, though there are favorite influentials among them. The Armenian Church offers an affectionate obituary to the late Pope. Archbishop Khajag Barsamian sits down with the voice of Yerevan. Your Eminence, thank you for this opportunity.
You're very welcome.
Pope Francis recently passed away. What's the obituary you'd like to offer as a leader of the Armenian Orthodox Church?
Well, as I've written, I have been fortunate to know His Holiness Pope Francis very closely for many years. In fact, I was engaged of his visit to Armenia during his pontifical visit to our homeland. And also, I was very much involved when there was a celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide at St. Peter's Basilica, during which also St. Gregory of Narek was announced by the Pope, by the Catholic Church, as the doctor of the Universal Church. On many other occasions, I had the fortune knowing him, speaking with him, and receiving his blessings. So, from my personal perspective, I would say that he was an exemplary pastor. He loved people without discrimination, and he reached out to everyone, following the example of our Lord Jesus Christ. He exemplified through his ministry as a bishop, as a priest, and then later as a pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church, exemplified Christ in his ministry. And very humble person.
In his de facto eulogy, the Archbishop arrives at the crossroad of religion and politics. Conspiracy theories throw out the idea that Vatican secretly controls world politics. In reality, Vatican undoubtedly influences governments and does often set the tone for global politics. But the idea of total control is, well, far-fetched. Popes do meet world leaders regularly, with its own diplomatic corps, embassies, called apostolic nunciatures, and official relationships with over 180 countries, more than many nations have. Vatican is clearly more than a church. Your Eminence, blameless post-mortems aside, let's deal with harsh truths. Vatican grew closer ties with Baku during the last decades. How does this align with Christian values the Catholic Church stands for? Do you think this, in a sense, anointed the later NK atrocities against Christian Armenians?
Well, Vatican being a Christian center, also it's a government. Like Vatican has ambassadors, nuncios in many countries where there are Christians, there are countries where there are less Christians, few Christians, and even there are countries where there are no Christians. So like any country, there is a diplomatic relationship, and the same with Azerbaijan, where there is a very small community of Catholics and Christians. So they have also a nuncio. So it is very normal that since there is a diplomatic relation, then also the president or the officials of Azerbaijan come and visit also Vatican, like all other countries. So it's a very normal situation. And with regard of the recent situations, it shows that rather than criticizing others, throwing a stone of others, I think it's time that we evaluate ourselves, how we are doing our responsibility. Myself, as a clergyman of the Armenian Church, I think I have to evaluate myself, and it is very unfortunate that again we have to accept that we are weak today, weak in our relationships, weak not having a very clear vision and aligning around that vision. So I think it is time that rather than criticizing others, throwing stones others, very objectively we evaluate ourselves. and ask the question why this happened. Like, for example, as a bishop of the Armenian Church in the United States for 28 years, for example, I cooperated. I created a very strong partnership with all the ambassadors of Armenia in New York and also in Washington. And through that partnership, we were able to achieve so many things for the good of Armenia. Definitely, I am 100% in favor that there is a church and state separation. Definitely. But then in our case, Armenian church is a national church. When they asked me as a young man, when I went to Jerusalem, they asked me, why do I want to become an Armenian priest? I said, because I want to serve my nation. So any Armenian clergy definitely is serving the Armenian church is also the Armenian nation, because at least 80, 85, 90% of Armenians, they all are baptized in the Armenian church. So they are the church. They are the Armenian church. So, like, for example, when there was 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide commemoration celebration in Vatican, it happened because there was a very strong cooperation, partnership between the Armenian church and then the government. I was involved. I don't want to go into the details. Because of that partnership, the Pope celebrated. Otherwise, before the decision was that the Armenian Catholic Patriarch will celebrate and the Pope will preside, and they were going to say Medz Yerevan rather than the genocide. So because of that partnership, the Pope celebrated, and two Catholicos, and then the Patriarch of the Armenian Catholic Church co-celebrated with the Pope. The President of Armenia was there. And then people all over the world, Armenians, came and celebrated 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide.
It is the 110th anniversary of the genocide already. There's a political process of reconciliation underway with little tangible result. Do you believe in this political process? Is there healing without recognition?
Well, definitely we have to heal ourselves, because it's like a wound in our hearts. So, generally speaking, we feel victimized. Armenians, we feel victimized. And what I know in victimized psychology, there is no freedom, because God has given us so many possibilities. In that freedom, we use that possibilities. So I think we have to heal ourselves. And through that healing process, in a very natural way, in a very healthy way, we have to fight for justice. And also, we have to align. We have to align. What do really we want? Okay, accepting genocide, is that what we are looking? If you ask any Armenian in Armenia and also in the diaspora, what do you want? You will hear different type of answers. So there is no clear vision. There is no clear vision, and that demonstrate that there is no leadership. This is a major problem.
Security could become an important axis for the diaspora agenda, so to speak, as well, but it's not yet, in my impression, an important component of the security of Armenia could be Armenia-US strategic partnership. President Trump recently affirmed US's willingness to move forward with it. Given today's complex geopolitical context picture, what's the Church's role in strengthening Yerevan-Washington's ties?
Well, the most important is not church and state. I think overall we have to create a clear vision and create alliance vision. It's called strategic approach. And unfortunately, today I believe we don't have that strategic approach, making that vision of the entire nation. So leadership is the key. Leader is the one as a vision and set visions.
Church and state are both currents of undeniable influence. Sometimes they merge, sometimes they flow apart. What is just the right portion of church's political involvement, though? If it is effective and state-centered, there is no need to measure dosage. Alignment is the challenge. Internal politics, ruling party and church relations are quite tense. Experts believe the church is playing politics. How would you comment?
Well, again, as I said, Armenian church is a national church. When there is a wound, everyone feels the pain of that wound. And definitely the church, again, as I said, the church is not myself or any priest. The church is the entire nation, people who are baptized. We should not put separation between the clergy and also the people, because it is the people who elect the Catholicos of all Armenians. And like a bishop, I was elected many times when I was the bishop in the United States. So it is the will of God that I lead the people in the life of the church. So again, like in any family, in any institution, where there is a dispute, there is a problem, rather than making it deeper, then you have to find ways resolving it. It is a challenge, I accept, and personally, I don't like it. It gives me pain as a clergy of the Armenian Church, who has been serving for many years in the Armenian Church. It is a painful situation. But then we have to find a way resolving that. Because that weakens us. That situation is not acceptable. That weakens us.
Thank you for this opportunity one more time, Your Eminence.
You're very welcome. And God bless. God bless the entire Armenian nation and Armenia, Republic of Armenia, which we all love and care very much.